I think it's safe to say that teaching someone modern Yu-Gi-Oh is definitely an arduous task.
Me step by step what to do. What do you mean you didn't help me with
This turn, you did this yourself. No,
I hit the
Ron,
yes.
why did we just
I
click
clicked.
yes? Why did we
I
click
clicked. I
yes?
clicked.
And convincing them to play is even harder. It's a bit like trying to decipher a new language. However, I think it's mostly difficult because it's made out to be that way with how we play the game. Let me explain. Obviously, many people have only seen or have played Yu-Gi-Oh because the anime introduced the game to them. And unfortunately, the first season didn't really explain how to play the game, nor were they really playing the same game as we are today. It was more like a tabletop D&D game more than anything. The games kinda relied on the creativity of the players, and their cards were kinda like characters of their own with various random abilities. It was kinda semi-consistent. The rules depicted in the show didn't always align with the official card game, leading to confusion for early players. During Battle City though, it did become a bit better, but we still weren't there yet. I'd say it was with Yu-Gi-Oh! GX that the rules became way more coherent. But a lot of people haven't watched past Duel Monsters, nor do they want to. You often see these Yu-Gi Boomer takes where it's like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was way better before, all the Synchro Xyz, Pendulum and all of that. And it's kind of funny because Synchro Monsters, the second extra deck type, was released like 15 years ago now. In any case, a lot of people just have nostalgia for Duel Monsters, and for many people, they want to recreate those moments on the show or have a similar experience. Of course, for many new players, or even returning ones, the common problem of the game is how much there is to keep up within a duel. You have the super long text, which can be intimidating, confusing rulings that aren't explicitly explained in the cards, the damage step, speed spells, and other things like that. Thankfully, with automatic simulators, a lot of the heavy lifting is done for you, but none in paper play. A lot of these intricacies of the game is definitely what makes it fun, but these things are obviously overwhelming for any newcomers. Of course, the simplest way to introduce the game to someone is to have a more casual format at local tournaments. Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments seem to be only with the advanced format. There is a traditional format, but I never see it being used. There's also the Time Wizard format, but I'll come back to that later. When people talk about an alternate casual format, Commander from Magic the Gathering pops up frequently into the conversation. For the people who don't know, Commander is kind of like a 4-way duel with each player having around 100 unique cards, although you have to account for lands, which takes up a good chunk of it too. From personal experience, it's how I got introduced into the game and really the only format I play. It's a pretty fun way to play Magic, and it's pretty engaging too. It really helps that this format is very supported. From what I've seen, it's one of their most popular formats now. I don't know much about any other card games, so feel free to tell me if they also have casual formats where new players can easily be introduced into the game. Now going back to talk about the best card game, Yu-Gi-Oh! I think the closest thing we've had to a more casual format was with the Battle Packs, a series of special booster sets designed specifically for sealed play and a draft format, but they seem to have stopped producing those. I do remember buying these Battle Packs, although I've never really used them for a sealed play and draft format. I mostly bought them for the reprints. Other than the Battle Packs, around my area, some local game stores do have some kind of draft formats every time a new booster set is released. But new sets are released every few months, so these events aren't very frequent. This also brings up the question of, do your local game stores have events for newcomers? Feel free to tell me if they actually do. It'd be pretty interesting to see what different game stores do to bring newcomers. Although it shouldn't fall on the game stores to do so, it should fall on Konami, the producers of the game, to try and bring in new people. Now, I've talked about the Time Wizard format, which is basically playing an old format from years ago, but I have a small problem with them. They definitely can help with introducing new players to the game. However, my main problem with those formats is that they don't have the current card pool or mechanics of the modern game. While formats such as GOAT or Edison are pretty fun, it kinda removes the sheer variety of cards that you have now. And to be honest, some cards today could have been printed years ago without any problem. I feel like a lot of cards are often ignored because they're basically pack filler, cards that are just made to be thrown away. But if you look at those cards, I think a lot of them can be kind of fun to play with. Or current format, the advanced formats, even the Time Wizard formats, have a lot of those type of cards ignored. I think they might be given a second life if we did have an alternate format where those cards can shine. I know there is an official format called Common Cherry that was released by Konami, but I don't really see any support for that, to be honest. Or maybe it's just my area. That being said, on the official Yu-Gi-Oh website, they've described a bunch of different formats to enjoy, but I haven't really seen anyone play those formats except the Time Wizard format. For example, there's Heart of the Underdog, where it's a format that depends on your official tournament store. Like I've said before, there's the common charity format where you take common cards and make a deck with them. There's a Deckmaster format, which they took from the Noah arc in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. And there seems to be a few more, but like I've said, I don't really see any support for any of them. Even online, these formats aren't very popular, as I can see. If Konami really wants to bring in new people, they'll definitely need to support a casual format that can be easily digestible for newcomers. We do have speed duels and rush duels in Duel Links, but I don't think there'll be the feeling of playing some good old TCG. Obviously, I'm not saying this is an easy thing to do, but it's definitely something that has to be done. For me, a format that can be easily accessible for new players using the current card pool and current mechanics is a mix of the common charity format, the Highlander format, and having a set amount of monster, spell, and trap cards. So let's say you have a fixed amount of monster cards, around 20, 15 spells, and 5 trap cards, while still having your 15 extra deck monsters for any kind of mechanics. But I'm really just throwing this out there, I haven't really thought much about it. At the beginning of the video, I said it's about how we play the game that turns off new players. But to be honest, we don't really have any other options. Konami doesn't really give us support to play any other kind of format. Even in Master Duel, they have a casual mode, but you kinda end up playing with the same kinds of decks as you would in the ranked mode. Let me know in the comments down below what could possibly be done to bring in some new players. Thanks for watching and see you next time.